child tells you, there's this guy in my class and there are some feelings that I'm feeling. They may be able to name them, they may not. I think for them to get to where they've shared that with you, that is already a trusting circle. And your response determines how often you will get invited as they get older into romantic relationships. And I'm going to go back and say this, the parent, as the child is young and grows, they set the boundaries, they set the rules as the caretaker. And so they may be able to navigate, although those feelings are great, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, what I'm trying to say is not to say, no, my God, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. What are you talking about? Boys do not exist. I don't want you to look at a boy. You need to be a nun right now. Confess your life to Christ. We have to be realistic and know that the young people are going to school in mixed company. They will have, they are spending 8+ hours with the opposite sex, 8+ hours. Let's just think about that. That is not to negate that there are behaviors that need to be controlled and there are conversations that need to be had about these emotions. And youth, you may know what I'm talking about without talking about it, and parents as well. But I'm going to go back to what John said, start small, work big. And so to just summarize is I believe that parents should be open to that conversation, because if we are inherently wired to build connection, then what God put in us to love one another is a good thing. But like the Bible says, we do not need to awaken love before it is ready. So although that feeling is good and welcomed, the parent needs to navigate that with the child, depending on the age and many other factors and how their family dynamic moves. So that's probably the best way I would answer that, and just say, please do not shun that conversation when it's brought up, parents. Allow that safe space to navigate it. And I think also maybe asking open-ended questions. Oh, wow. When did you start feeling that way? Or what is it about this individual that makes you feel this way? Because I think that allows you to know your child. And if the child is saying, well, they're very kind to people, they always help the teacher, then you're kind of getting an idea that your child is seeing good characteristics in the opposite sex or in someone that they've seen in the community, that it may not be even a romantic aspect. It may be an aspiration or an inspiration. So having that dialogue will allow you to know your child and also maybe let you know that, okay, you're raising them well, and telling them, although those emotions are good, I think I would like for you to hold or pause and be a good friend to them. And like I said, I'm going to leave that to the family dynamic, but the questions should be welcomed and answered.
I think you can touch on the second question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
How can parents and youth approach seeking professional help regarding mental health issues before we go back to the other people answering the romance question?
Sure. So in terms of mental health resources, I think there is this movement of therapy being the cool thing to do. Everybody needs to go to therapy. And although that is great, there was a time where that was not a thing. I would encourage us to discern what is a cry for help from the child, right? And then what is a serious issue because what therapy is therapy is a safe space that allows the child or adult, whoever's seeking it, to navigate some things that they may not be able to do comfortably, and when I say comfortably, I mean, they may want to go deeper, and that person that they may be discussing may not be able to handle that. I think we need to be okay with, you can't be the antidote to everything. If I'm going to therapy to discuss some things that maybe, my parent or a school teacher did to me, although I would want to have honest conversations with them, there may be a level where, let's just face it, it may hurt the person that you are discussing with. And you may need to go to therapy to now find that neutral ground as to how to come back and have that conversation, or maybe not, or maybe move forward in that relationship to better it. So that's what therapy does. It acts as a bridge to navigate difficult conversations. So I believe that every family should be aware of mental health resources in their area. You can easily Google that if you're living in Texas, and you can even get more specific and say youth programs in Texas, youth counseling programs, youth counselors in Texas, adult counselors in Texas, counselors that deal with grief in Texas, counselors that focus on couples in Texas. So counselors are able to focus on different subjects. So there are marriage counselors, grief counselors, youth counselors, and also just general all across. They're able to handle all facets of life. And so having that, maybe it's a folder that you all share in Google, is good. And there are also hotline numbers. You may not even have to leave your house to access a therapist. For the youth, there are hotline numbers that are, you don't have to have a guardian. That's why they're there, because in that moment of distress or crisis, you can dial that number, have that conversation with the hotline, the counselors that are briefed. And then now I would encourage you to go back to your parents and say, hey, I did dial the youth teen hotline. I just was having some moments and I needed to discuss a topic. That's where the parent can now say, oh, I'm so glad that you took liberty to take charge of your mental health. You know, parents, let's applaud the youth when they step out and do these things. It's not the time to say, why did you do that? Why did you call that number? The number is safe. They are trained therapists. It is free. It's called a crisis hotline. Now, youth, navigate what is a crisis. Crisis is when you cannot take this back to your parents. You cannot take this to anybody. You're heavy breathing, you're sweating, and you need someone to talk to that you do not know of. That, in a sense, is a crisis, and you need to vent and have that conversation. If it is not a crisis, try to now navigate with your parents or a friend, somebody in the community that you trust. And so, bottom line, knowing your resources in your area is key. Parents, if your child comes to you and tells you that they've accessed one of these free resources, applaud them and build that trust to ask, okay, what were you seeking? What was the issue? And be okay with getting as much information as you can, and kind of allowing that to build to where now they can fully tell you what it is that they did discuss. But I think applauding them, like Miss Rose was saying, and affirming that action is key.
Thank you. I'll give the youth, I'll give a minute each. Just tell us how you navigate through this issue of romance. For me, I was not attracted by behavior. My wife was just beautiful. It was pure physical. I saw eyes and I followed. And I don't think that's how you want to tell your parents, that I saw beautiful eyes and I followed. But that was me. Joseph and your team, just a minute each, and tell us how you navigate through that. And then we can go to the parents, how they receive it. And then we'll close it up with again, back to Priscilla.
I'm still thinking about it. John, can you take this away? I'm still thinking.
That's okay. I'm not going to tell your parents.
No, I remember when I came home with my girlfriend for the first time.
Oh, I didn't think you have one, John.
I had one. Yeah, I had one. And I remember it was my birthday. I came home with her. So we were planning on like swinging by my house for that first meeting, like on my birthday. She was like, okay, yeah, I think this is good. So we swung by and grandma was there. We weren't expecting that. But like, at least I had what happened was I had prepped them before. I had kind of like sat down with actually it was both parents. And I was just like, hey, there's somebody who who I saw, and like somebody that I've been talking to, and somebody that I'm interested in. And like, this is this is who she is, like this is where she comes from, like it's this type of person. Like these are kind of the qualities that like kind of attracted me. And we kind of went from there. And like they kind of told me what they were expecting. And I took that in, and I let them, of course, tell from their perspective of just like things to be wary of and like things to look out for and whatnot. Because of course, and like some of the things that they were telling me were like things that were like, okay, yeah, that's something I hadn't even thought of. And so like it was more of like okay, like it was not like I wasn't going from a position of like, oh, I'm gonna tell them. If they say no, I don't care kind of thing. It was more of a, I'm going to tell them because I want this to be something that they, of course, also bless in a sense, because I don't want to be doing something without my parents' consent. And so I kind of it was just an open conversation with them. And like, of course, like I had that same conversation with like their parents as well. And so it was just like, I went to her, like we went together and kind of like talking with like my parents at one point, and just like the introduction. And so like I kind of felt like having that like first step of me going by myself and being like, hey, this is this person, like there's this person, and then also like having that person come and meet the parents was something that was very, very crucial for me. And I just thought, and of course, like it was it's an interracial relationship, which was a whole other beast. But like, just again, having the like starting small and then building up is something that I would say really helped me when like I brought up like relationships with my parents.
Awesome. Aimee, and if you don't have one, just tell us how you plan to approach it. I was not as good as, you know, John. Mine was pure physical. John was going into the qualities and what Jesus says. Mine was, I just saw a good girl and I was on it. Aimee? Is she there?
I think she's still on. She's on mute.
All right, I can't say that name. I can't butchering the name. Yeah, I got it. Say something.
Okay, so on the romance topic, I'm still very young, so if I brought that up to my parents, it's gonna be a little, scary. But I feel like I believe that it should be talked about a little more, to where you don't want to like hide it, because as teenagers we have these feelings that we don't really understand, and you want somebody to talk to, and your parents have been through that and they didn't have anybody to talk to when they were growing up, but you want somebody to talk to. So I feel like that should be something that's talked about a little more, because then it would help you figure out that. And also, it's not like when you talk about it, you're telling your parents, yeah, I'm doing this and I don't care about what you're going to do. But it's more like, yeah, I feel this way. Help me. What should I do? And if they say, oh, I don't think you should do this until you're this age, you're in your parents' home until you're 18. So you have to follow that, but you have a reason why. It's not and you wouldn't necessarily want to go behind their backs anymore, because you know how they feel about it. You have had an open conversation with them and they've explained to you why you shouldn't do this until you're older. And, they just help you understand what you're feeling a little more and what the consequences or the good things that will come out of it, to where you don't want to hide it from your parents anymore, because they know how you feel and they're telling you, yeah, you should do this later on in life, but it's okay how you feel. Just don't, act on those feelings yet. But yeah.
Gotcha. Man, you guys.
Yeah, and Sebastian,
awesome.
If I can answer this, I think I have everything in my mind now. So I'll build on what John said, is like it goes back to the open dialogue. Like, I'm not gonna like one day just pop up with a girl in my parents' house and say, hey, this is my girl. I don't care if you care, she is what she is. It's having that conversation even before you get a girlfriend, is like saying, hey, like one day I'm gonna have a girl, one day I'm gonna bring her to you guys. Just starting that conversation early, rather than just one day surprising them. And then everything should start from a place of respect. I think that's a very important thing, because if you don't have respect, like that whole like bringing a girl over without notifying your parents, just it's something that's very disrespectful. You may consider as something small, but it's something disrespectful. You should have that respect with your parents and give them a heads up, like John was saying, where he spoke to his parents and then like told them about the person and all that. And that shows your parents that you're a mature person and that you're ready to like go out and explore those emotions. And then also the other thing is boundaries. Having boundaries, I think, is a very important thing, because there's certain even though I'm all for having communications with your parents, there's certain things that when you're in a relationship that, or even a friendship, let's say, that you and your friend are supposed to have, and then your parents shouldn't know about that. So I believe in that, establishing those boundaries with your parents, saying that, yes, you're my parent and you should know most of my stuff, but there's certain things that I'm willing to share with my partner and not you. And then communicating that rather than just saying, oh, you shouldn't know, that will make that communication between you and your parent better. And it goes back to that respect.
Thank you, Joseph. Man, when you talk here, you look like a different person than, anyway, let me stop right there. But I like that. Vulnerability sounds like the truth and feels like the courage, so I like your answers. Aimee, are you here? Give us an answer without telling us so much about your love life. Just a little bit, like hint, we won't tell anybody. Aimee Kamau, is she back or is she there? If not,
I see her in the
go
chat.
ahead.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay.
Can anyone see me?
We can hear you and see.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm back. So romance. I was, oh my gosh. At a young age, I was encouraged to be friendly. That's what it was. But romance wasn't really as big as it was until middle school. So I would advise all the youth that if you have a great friend group, okay, don't always, spill too much, but it's okay to talk about it, like qualities in a guy or qualities in a girl, such things like that, just to get a gist and comparison of maybe what you should be looking for and what you should not be looking for. When talking about it with parents, for me, I did have some crushes and, flings, if you want to call it, but it wasn't really as deep as a true romantic relationship. So when I'm talking with my parents, I would be like, hey, this is happening. How do you feel? Should I keep talking to them? Little things like that. Be open about it. Because if you're not open about it, little things will...
Did we lose her? I think she's
Oh,
having
no.
she's
going into the
network issues. Yeah.
It's always...
I think that's the part that she don't want us to hear, but that's fine. All right.
Hey, Aimee? Maybe we can mute her and she muted her.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'll jump very quickly a minute to the parents, just so they can also allude to that point of romance. Then I'll come and close it down with Priscilla. So Mary and Rose.
Sebastian, I think we had Miss So. You may have missed out on the list, and I see she's in the audience.
Right. What's her name again?
Meso, just the name. Meso. Yeah, just say Meso. The rest of it you might mess up.
All right, Meso, can you say something about that too, and introduce yourself and say something about that before I go back to the parents? All right, Meso, when you're ready, I'll come back to you. So I'll go to Rose and Mary. If you want to just touch a little bit, just a few minutes before we are way past our time. And then I can have Rose, we close it up. So I'll start with Rose and then Mary.
That's a very sensitive to us as parents. But like I can say and encourage our youth is you won't be the first ones. We went through it, we managed. And so like Joseph said, it's always good to start early. Sometimes I like talking about a topic when it's not at hand. Because when it's at hand, we might discuss some negativity, you might start hating, you might start seeing as if you made a mistake. So it's always good to bring this kind of discussions in a family table when they are not at hand. So maybe we have discussed, hey, Let's not talk about love or relationships before you get done with school. So there is a time for everything. So I wouldn't expect somebody before you turn 15 to come and bring such kind of a discussion. You might be doing it behind the parents' back, but there is always time for a mature discussion about love affairs. So when you talk about it early enough and your parents, maybe you've discussed about it and say like, hey, let's not talk about this until it's time. Let's honor that. Because if you bring it before time, it might backfire and the discussion might not go as you wish. Because at the table, when you talk about it, you'll talk about, hey, I want a girl, this and this and this and this. So you kind of talk about the qualities of the person that you'd love. So with that kind of a discussion, when you go out there, you'll be knowing what to look for. And that's your wish. That's not your parents' wish. But always bringing a discussion on the table, it's always good. And by that doing, then by the time it will become real, the love affair will be mature, bringing the person now to the people you've discussed about this person that they were not aware, but the qualities, the characteristic you are looking for have been found, bringing now a picture of the person. I do believe it will be more appreciated and welcoming than just bringing a surprise, like Nganga said. So it's always good to have these discussions ahead of time so that when they are real and when they are mature, at least there'll be some backup and bringing it to the table will not be as hard as bringing a surprise.
Thank you. Mutegi?
I come from a background where I was told, don't talk to boys because boys are bad. And I was not explained to the why. And of course, when it came to the time to figure it out, we had to make some experiments that were not very good. So my approach is having those conversations early in advance works very well. So my daughter is 14. We've had these topics on sexuality, because that's the other topic, you know, it's an issue where gender identities is such a big thing in schools today. So we approach those topics in advance. So my first question to her is, if you had to be attracted to somebody, what gender would you be attracted to? She's like, oh, I like boys. And that was a good conversation starter. And then we went down that way. It's like, you know, what do you think, you know, how do you feel about it? You know, what are you attracted to? And just yesterday, she told me, man, all those boys in my school are so immature. So I can tell right now she's not in a place to really have a boyfriend. She says, I would rather just wait maybe when I get to college. So it's her own timing, she knows, because we've talked about what's a good quality of a boyfriend is. And right now she's like, those boys, you know, they're dirty, they stink, you know, she has all these qualities that she's looking for. So she, at this point in time for her, I know her place in time. So we do have approach those conversations. You know, she tells me what's happening in school, and then we, you know, she bring it up and we sit down and discuss it, the pros and the cons. There was the issue of abortion that's coming up, you know, such topics, we approach them. It's a political issue. Let's sit down. What do you think? And she'll tell me her views. So I'm very open-minded when it comes to this topics of sexuality. And I think it's a good approach where it's a non-judgmental zone. I ask very many questions to gain understanding, and then we can have a better communication where she knows she can trust me. I'm not judging her for making any bad decisions. I've had parents come and say, you know, especially for us immigrant kids, when it comes to an issue of prom, okay, we are discouraging them from having boyfriends right now, but they're being asked, you know, to go out for prom. And one parent said, you know, it's so sad when our kids go to especially white, schools, the white kids are being asked for prom, but our African kids are not being asked for prom. What does that do to their mental health? They think they don't belong because how come everybody else is being asked and my daughter is not being asked or my sister is not being asked, I'm not being asked. So it's how do we approach that? How do you gain acceptance? It's okay for you to go as a group of girls. It's okay for you boys to go as a group of boys. You really don't have to have somebody. You don't have to be forced to be in a relationship just because you have to take a date to a prom. And of course, it's very expensive. That's what I understand. I'm yet to get there. So having those conversations, I think it's very important.
Thank you. That is awesome. I think we touched on all the aspects that it comes to. So even if we don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from where we are. So Priscilla, I'll give you 3 minutes to wind this up. I would have wanted us to go on and on, but it's 7:43 and I really do not want to keep you anymore. So I'll give you, Priscilla, maybe 3 minutes to wind up on the topics that we alluded to. Mm-hmm. I think at some point we were up to 100 and nobody else was able to join. So we will open up next time. So I'll hand it to Priscilla.
Awesome. Thank you so much. First, I want to just appreciate you all for being here. Like Mr. Sebastian said, mental health, there's no destination. I do not want anyone to leave here feeling, well, we didn't get somewhere, because it can feel like that when we're talking about such a heavy topic. However, just know that each one of us being here, we're champions. We can advocate in our own circles for this topic, specifically as diasporans and Kenyans and Africans in general. And so I'm just thankful to have this space, and thank you for the youth for speaking on behalf of just everyone here. I know we couldn't get to every youth or young adult, but thank you, John and Joseph and Exauce and Aimee for covering that. So to wrap us up, I will just say mental health is health. Let's just go ahead and I think we've massaged that and we've understood it, that it is a part of our health and well-being. And it covers different aspects: physical, spiritual, and financial, right? We know that sometimes there are barriers to accessing mental health services. You may be that good Samaritan or that person who is wanting to take charge of their health, but there are financial barriers there. And so we do understand that that can affect one's mental health and stress as well. But most importantly, this is just a dialogue that will have to be continued. I believe Mr. Jeffrey will invite us for a part 2, but the takeaway is this: parents, there is a lot that your young people and your children can teach you as it relates to mental health. No one here is left behind, quote unquote. Even if you feel you are, it's never too late to dive into the material. It doesn't have to be exhaustive. You can just simply start with YouTube videos, or just talking to your child and say, hey, do you want to attend a support group together? Do you want to attend a group therapy session, or even just YouTube and watch some videos? There are many avenues to make mental health fun. It does not have to be a sad, depressing topic. We do know it can be sad, it can be depressing. However, it can also be fun. We can be advocates of this in many other ways. And then for the young adults and the youth, I believe this is a start, to inviting our parents to the table. And like John said, I think we've all been going back to his comment and Joseph's, start small. You can get frustrated and it's easy to say, my mom should understand me. She birthed me. Why does she get it? She should understand this right now. I need you. That feeling is okay. It's validated. But pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what can I do? What small steps can I do now to invite her into what I am feeling, to invite my parents into what I see on a day-to-day and how they can help me? And parents as well, let's not exhaust and be encompassing. Oh my God, oh goodness, let's pause and ask, okay, what is the emotion? What are you feeling right now? And just give that space and that time. So I believe those are the takeaways today. I would be remiss, Mr. Sebastian, sorry, if I did not segue and shout out my dad. He is here, Dr. Solomon Waigwa. And if you are okay with it, I'd love for him to greet us and just say something small, if he's available. Dad, if you're there.
I just got back. I had gone downstairs. I am at a professional meeting in Indianapolis, Indiana, and one of my professors was stranded in Dallas. There was bad weather. They just arrived, so I had to make sure that they come to the hotel. But I didn't want to participate in this. I just wanted to listen, and I have heard a lot of things. But I want to thank. I think it was Rose Njenga, I think that's her, and Mutegi. Just before I went down to the low bay, I heard some of the things that that they said, and I cannot thank you enough for saying that we parents have to really model good behavior. I think that was very well said. And when both of you talked about the parents should not say, do as I say, but do as I do, you reminded me of a new book that just came out. I teach, so I use a lot of books. A book called Daring Greatly. My daughter was reading it, not this daughter here, Priscilla, but my older daughter was reading this book, so I read it too. Renee Brown is the writer, Dr. Renee Brown. She is a social worker, and she urges parents, on chapter 7 of that book, you can look at it, she urges parents to not ask themselves, what is the best way? Am I doing the right way in parenting? She says the question should be, are you the adult that you want your child to grow up to be? And for me, that is very profound. Are you the parent that you want the child to become? And so what we do is we try as much as we can to become what we are asking our children to become. And so that's what I would say about that. That's what you reminded me about, Renee's book, Daring Greatly, in terms of raising our children, because we have a responsibility to raise a generation of readers. Thank you so very much. And the organizer, want to say that we need to bring in more parents into this so that they also can hear what the young people are saying. Thank you so very much. Young people, God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Waigwa. I know you are a good student of my dad, so there was no way I was going to say no. Otherwise, I would be in bigger trouble than anything else that I can think about. I want to thank our panelists, Priscilla, Mary, Rose, Joseph, and John, and Exauce, and Aimee. Thank you so much for making time to be with us here. This was awesome. I think we cannot be an island. This is how we get information. This is how we process information. Mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain and you feel the rain, but you are not the rain. So this is very healthy for us in terms of the discussions that we had today. To our audience, thank you very much. Thank you for participating. I know we had a lot of parents who are tuned in, and I think this is priceless information. I always tell people that these panelists that we have here have a lot of information that sometimes you would pay a lot of money just to attend such seminars. But for us to get the information for free, I truly want to thank Vitendo for Africa and thank Geoffrey and the organization for putting these resources together. Actually, today we had a bonus also from Dr. Waigwa, at the very end. So that is very welcoming. So thank you, and thank you everybody else who attended. I am sure we'll organize for a second session. And I will now, we can give a big hand of applause. You can either send whatever you want to send through that to our panelists for what they did, wherever you are, because we enjoyed them. And thank you so much for being vulnerable to us and giving us information sometimes that was very sensitive from your perspective. But that's the only way you create the change. It's that vulnerability that you do. So thank you so much. And I will now hand this over to our CEO, Geoffrey, to go ahead and wind up. But again, thank you. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for attending this meeting. Have a wonderful evening. Geoffrey, back to you.
Thank you, Sebastian. I appreciate you for that, moderating the meeting tonight. Like everyone have said, that was awesome. That was awesome. That was very nice meeting. I really, we cannot get enough of you. We hope that we can be able to continue having a part 2, like Priscilla said, and also Dr. Waigwa. Thank you so much, even for taking time to be with us today. I will want to recognize some people who have been part of this. And just as we wind up, for those who have a couple of the representative, oh, good, no. Why it's telling me to change? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's giving me an error message on my side.
We can see you sharing. Yeah, it's saying you've started screen sharing.
You're on mute right now.
Sorry, yeah. So Priscilla, I was just sharing on the Zoom here so that we can get to know the people who are part of this and this conversation that we'll continue doing. Youth Engagement Society, that was Priscilla. That is based in Texas. Then we have IHOP. Is Rose in the audience?
I'm here, Jeff. I'm here.
No, Rose for Florida. Okay. I think Rose, and then we have IPAD from New Jersey with the Sarah Munyiri. Anybody from New Jersey? And then we have Ohio with Mr. From a high community, I think, and we had representatives that were there with us. We really want to appreciate you. And then we have the Kenyan community also. I think it was in Seattle. I see Jacob there. Are you there, Jacob? Thank you so much for mobilizing your youth and also the St. Louis community. Thank you so much. Oh, Jacob, you there?
Yes.
All right, you want to say hi?
I just say hello to everyone. The conversation was deep. We welcome this conversation all over the country, especially for immigrant community, especially our youth here in the Northwest, in this side of Seattle. We welcome this conversation, and we want to continue this. We're also doing in our own way, taking steps to help our youth, and this is really needed. We are technically a community in crisis because of mental health and youth challenges that are brought about by them being here, and all the identity crisis, and the conversation that can give us some tools to be able to raise our kids, raise another generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, so the great what you're doing. Also, the other group, the little we are doing in our small groups in our network, means a lot. And then when we come out together, we can help each other. I didn't want to ignore any other group that I didn't mention, but we will continue doing this and having more conversation that we can be able to grow. I know there is an idea that is going on for us to be able to meet in person in June. And Mr. Washington from Ohio is helping us to coordinate that. We hope we can meet in June for a retreat over the summer when we can meet in person. Those details will be communicated later. So we want to appreciate our moderator tonight, Mr. Sebastian, and our panelists. That was awesome. We really, really want to have you part 2. Again, I hope when we reach out to you,
yes.
You will be saying yes, and I appreciate that. Priscilla, thank you so much. You've been a great resource in so many ways. Every time we reach out to you, sometimes I feel like we should be putting you in the V4A board. You're a great resource. Thank you so much for the team that I was able to put this idea together. Rose, Sylvia, Catherine Papai, Joyce, and Dr. Madoni. We appreciate you for this great idea, and we hope that we can continue doing that. And then lastly, I want to mention that there are some upcoming events that will be continued doing it. This includes February 11, where we have couples dinner. February 18, we have youth mentorship meeting that will be in person. But on February 25th, we have promoting boy child. We all want to be more inclusive and reach out to everybody. This will be will be an in-person meeting, and this will be held at the church, where we also have some people who are going to be cutting them hairstyle, showing how to tie their tie, but also more important, having a conversation and how to be able to be presented, to present themselves, but also maybe also how to have some of those ethics and be able to be grown, be responsible men. We don't want to make the mistakes when they're young that will haunt them for the rest of their life. We want to prepare them to be responsible. And then this Saturday, we have understanding life insurance. We have great speakers that are put together. We'll meet together. We all have been having all this fundraising and all these issues going on. We want to come up with something that will be able to help you, not just for the immediate need, but also for the family that may be left behind. And that will be this Saturday at 11 a.m. and p.m. And then I think I mentioned about the couples dinner. If you really want to make it Valentine's, and like many said, I think Mary also mentioned that you wanna be able to take care of your mental health so that you can be able to help others, then this starts with you taking care of yourself, and more importantly, also taking of your partner who is also helping you raise your kids. Other than that, I would say thank you so much. I appreciate you for responding even when we reach out within a short notice. We will have a meeting for the parents, and I'm glad Dr. Solomon Waigwa is with us. He has led those conversations. Now the conversation we've had today, we want to now go further, take it further, and find a way how we can implement some of those ideas. How can we now start implementing those things that we have shared and heard from our young people talking to us, and seeing how we can use those conversations to improve our relationship, so that we don't have to wait until serious issues happen. I think I sent a text that I say, there are times that will come where we'll need to stop. We need to ask ourselves, we need to stop pulling kids out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out who is dropping those kids into the river. And the way to do it is when we become very active and proactive to prevent serious issues to happen, people to go into depressions. Before somebody gets into depression, there's so many things that have happened along the way. And the purpose of us having this conversation and ongoing conversation is to make sure that we are able to address those issues before they become serious. We have created a Google Drive document with a great resource. I know I have almost exhausted for the resources that I know for Missouri. I know we're working with other people from other states. We will put it together and we'll make it available to you so you can be able to find out some of the resources that are next to your door. And if you have some people who are calling from out of states, you can literally go to that document folder and tell them, hey, I'm far from you, but I know a place that I can refer to you. And you can be able to refer them to get the services they need. We don't have to wait for things to go to be that serious. One last thing, as we leave, any information that you have learned today, any information that you've gathered today, please be generous. Reach out to 2-3 people, have a conversation, talk to them. And more importantly, if it's an adult we have in the group, please be intentional and reach out to at least 3 young people that you're going to be able to mentor. Not necessarily to mentor them as in professional way, but just being the person that they can be willing to reach out to you and share their challenges and share their issues that they're going to. If you're a young person, have one person that you can count on, and you have to reach out. They don't have to reach out to you. You can also reach out to you and say, I have one adult that I trust, that I count on, that I can always reach out to them and share my challenges. If parents, if you're not able to, because not all the parents are very, very open, but have somebody who you also, your parents can trust, and that they can have a conversation and have dialogues that will be able to help narrow the gap that exists, may be existing between you and your parents. And then the last thing is, if only we can always, once in a while, you can always try to, if you're a young person who is in this forum, you understand other young people that are in your network. You know when they're going through, you know when they have the challenges they go through. You could be the only person that could be able to help because no other adult know them, but is your friend. Be intentional and take it as a responsibility to know that I will be checking on my friends. I will be what I call the community health first aid advocates and be able to talk to them so that you can give them the confidence to go out and seek help. Let them not sleep under the rug, the challenges they go through, but have a way that you as a young person, you are doing something that will help your colleagues. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again, probably in a month for the Parents Forum. And I think we hope that you will be able to help us reach out other like you did today. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think I forgot to mention, you can reach out, you can follow us on social media. We use the same hashtag, Vitendo for Africa, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook is the same. Also, or you can go to on Facebook and share your comments. I think there was something that I don't know if I was able to share. If you have a minute, fill up that survey in 1 minute. I forgot to do that at the beginning. I think it's just to fill it up and just like 3 questions. Yes. Good, yeah, just fill it up. That helps also to understand more about the young people and maybe our future discussions. And then we will definitely keep you posted for our Parents Forum. Thank you all for this great comments. And we are working on I think I was trying to see if Washington was in the audience, but we're trying to work on a forum for an in-person meeting, hopefully in New York. We had planned last year, but this time we decided to push it to this year. And we hope that we can do a meeting there. Washington, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good to hear from you. Yeah, please keep us posted. And thank you so much for your mobilizing people in your area. You've really done a good job, and we hope that we can meet in person. But I'm looking forward to have another in-person meeting. Hopefully, it's in Ohio, in New York.
Thank you very much.
Great. You have something to add?
Thank you for the good discussion. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I think we wrap it up. Thank you so much. I don't want to take a lot of your time. It's 8:06. Some people are going to school tomorrow. Take time and let's keep on checking each other, and let's take the mental health as part of our life and see how we can help each other. All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, have a good evening, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Bye. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, I'm gonna share that. And okay.